aging condition, but maybe a relatively new water main that doesn't have that firefighting capacity. So Nick has been invaluable since we brought him on board with doing that kind of analysis and doing that inventory of what the infrastructure is. Road maintenance infrastructure. And again, we're trying to look at one of the two things that you identified last year was the need to replace the South Zone Works Depot, as well as the need for since we left the lease that we had with Huron County for the salt domes up in Grand Bend to establish some kind of a salt coverall facility down here. Well, they're not cheap. The salt, the coverall, can be 260 to 280, 280,000 range. The preliminary look at a South Depot to meet the needs is close to the $1 million range, and so again, it comes down to the loaves and fishes for council to sort out what it wants to allocate money towards. I think to a certain extent we can make the case for the coverall in terms of return on investment by it's a 6 or 7 year turnaround. I think Kevin, you said about being able to purchase our own salt product, store it there, and that return will help pay for that. The depot is another matter entirely. It is beyond the health and safety standards. It is in need. So how do we tackle that is the question. Can we tackle it from the extreme of saying, look, for 2012, I'm not surmising what you might say, let's do the coverall, let's do the Forest Depot with current reserve fund allocations, or is it preferable to continue to forge ahead with the road program and to look at a financing scheme for that infrastructure support, or that support infrastructure. So these are some things that these guys are wrestling with. We want to get some sense for it. Protecting road allowances, we talked about it. Again, it comes on a kind of a rural theme where we have we support the farmers using the roads to get to and from their farms and so on and so forth. There's always, I think it's an eternal battle or a relationship with farmers who are trying to maximize their yields and utilize the road allowance to allow them to turn around and do their maintenance. But it does take a toll on them. Can we find some happy medium? So we're raising that as simply an issue to say something that we need to be cognizant of and raise the awareness and build that cooperation with the farm community. Particularly if you're going to, again, it goes back to, we're going to invest in upgrading those rural roads to higher standard. You have to really be cautious of making sure that they don't get damaged in the process. Something that's come up recently, I don't know, it's a result of global warming and the excess of increasing number of rain events and precipitation and so on and so forth, and the volume of them. They sometimes tend to go in 10-year cycles. It seems you'll get a 4 or 5 inch storm in an hour, and it'll overwhelm any urban design storm system. The lakeshore, the advantage of much of the lakeshore areas, areas that are built on a sand-based structure have great percolation rates and absorption rates, but when you get an extreme event, that it just can't keep up. And so we're finding an increased number of expressions of concern about something needs to be done in our area because we almost got flooded or we did get flooded. And so we think it's something that council should look at in terms of its road design in the future. Should we explore the development of stormwater systems? Should we look at servicing the areas along the lakeshore with their own municipal drainage system, where you pick a petition and you go through that process? It's a cost benefit, but it's an expensive process to react to, if I can use that term, to a storm event, throw in a dry well to try and, because the problem obviously tends to shift to the next area the next time around. And so you've got this gradual development of a system of dry wells, and makes you be better off by developing a system of a formalized system. And again, part of the dialogue has to be in respect to what is our responsibility in terms of designing the roads to handle the water that is shed from the road or brought to the road. That's typically the design of the road drainage system, not to drain private property, but invariably, just because of the nature of terrain and so on and so forth, by default, over history, they've become a collection, a source of stormwater management for areas, and that's not what they were designed for. And it's council's desire that we do that, and we need to just factor in when we're reconstructing a road or designing a road for reconstruction, that we factor in a higher level of stormwater maintenance part of that. One of the things that this comes under this infrastructure renewal approach too, was talking about, particularly in the south zone, the Highway 21 corridor in Forest has a very old water main of limited size, and it ranges from 4 to 6 to, I'm not sure what its maximum size is. Very same history as some of the older ones, or tile iron or cast iron pipe. And that's our responsibility, but if we're looking at replacing that infrastructure, it makes sense to do that in concert with the Ministry of Transportation. We can try and get it on their longer range projection. So it's something we've identified. It's hard to read what the actual condition of a water main is. It's difficult to camera, if not impossible to camera. It's very difficult. The only way you really can tell is to excavate it. The Highway 21 corridor through Forest is the original, I want to say, 50s or 60s highway, which was concrete road slab, and so it's a major. It's the last thing you want to do. We did have to get into the Highway 21 water main at George Street when we reconstructed that road. It's a big undertaking. So we're trying to assess and evaluate all of these kind of very impacts that affect the road system. I think I skipped over one now that I think about it, and that was in respect to Thompson Line.
We talked about Decker.
Okay, yeah, Thompson Line was one of trying to maximize our dollars by using others' dollars, but we are contributing significant dollars to the county of Lambton through our county levy. It's been a gradually ever increasing contribution to the county in terms of our share of the county levy is increasing. And east-west road structures is something that we like. The Thompson Line is ideally positioned for that. And this was done, just in considering when we talked about the Ghana, should we design an upgrade Decker Road to that higher level standard of drainage and base to service really, there's maybe one home, I think, on the entire section of road. Not to say there's many more on Thompson Line, but it'd be nicer to use county dollars to achieve that. So we're looking at I guess the overall strategy is trying to maximize the dollars that we can, whether it's MTO dollars, it's county dollars, and how we're allocating them. So I'm going to that's a brief overview of some of the issues that we're dealing with, and we appreciate getting some feedback from council.
Yeah. One by one? Yeah. One by one.
Let's start it from one.
Okay. Number one, budget allocation, inflationary increase, or looking to contribute more to the reserve fund. Councilor Owen.
I think at this stage, we look at an inflationary increase, and then I guess would it be in additions to the core with the dollars from the reserve fund, and look at the various options?
I guess we can do it that way. You're familiar with the operating budget? We basically, it's a year-to-year adjustment based on inflation. But we also have a section that refers to additions or changes to the core program of our operations. We can take a similar approach to the capital budget, which we haven't done in the past, and say, here's the proposed, just say for 2012, here's the proposed program based on the inflationary budget, and then do a separate section, maybe highlight some other areas and what those funding levels, what